So in the Propelled Life, we are all about building you so that you can grow your community. If you don't grow as an individual, you cannot build yourself and you cannot build others. So we're about life, we're about leadership, and as well as building legacy. And legacy is not when you are old. Legacy is not when you are dead. Legacy is something that evolves as you grow older, as you get deeply rooted in your person, as you get deeply rooted in purpose. Then part of your prosperity is building a life of legacy. Our core values are integrity, collaboration, and impact. Integrity is key for everything and anything that you do in your life. And building trust is one currency that, as an individual, you must endeavor to, to acquire. Many times we think it's about having money, we think it's about the connect or the network that we have. I guarantee you relationships are key. But your level of trust, the fact that somebody can say, reach out to this person, I'm sure that she will do it. I'm sure that what he says is what he means, and what he says is what he would do. That in itself is currency. So integrity is very important to us. Collaboration. I've talked about relationship like 3 times already. Collaboration is how we partner with others, but collaboration is how we fly. Collaboration is what helps us to get into spaces that we do not know about. The fact that you get information about a new deal, a new opportunity, is because somebody would either mention it to you or somebody would mention you to that space. So collaboration is key. As individuals, as leaders, and as a community, we must learn to collaborate. Impact. If you like, wake up and say you are not doing impact. How you live your life is either impacting you as an individual, impacting your family, the people that live in your household, as well as whatever office you work in, business you are serving, community that you find yourself, you have an impact. The question now is whether it's a positive one or a negative one. There's absolutely no neutral there. So those are some of the values that we particularly enjoy serving with in the Propelled Life. So, some principles. If you have ever been in my class, masterclass, webinar, you will know that I like to talk about principles, and principles are universal rules. Now, these principles can be applied in any area or every area of your life. One is the principle of compounding effect. Many times when we hear compounding effect, we first of all think about money. I don't know about you, but I think about money because of the compound interest that comes up when you invest your money. So please let me know that I'm not the only one that, I'm not the only one that thinks about money when you see compound. So compounding effect is the simple addition or multiplication that happens when you consistently invest in something. And now the investment could be your time, it could be your money, it could be your resources, it could be your energy and focus. And how does that play a role with emotional intelligence? If you invest your habits into learning your person, your personalities, what are your strengths, your skills, what are your shortcomings, what are your um, habits or tools of service, you will know how to manage yourself. You will know when you are being triggered. And sometimes trigger is not necessarily a negative thing. Trigger is something that causes a reaction or causes a change in something. So it could be a positive trigger or a negative trigger. Your ability to know yourself well enough to know that the way this person is talking now, the way I'm hearing this thing is going to end up in a certain way. Then you begin to manage yourself even before the person says something. So it is important that as you are growing, as you are improving yourself, that you pay attention to what your triggers are. Pay attention to your person. Pay attention to the things that you're spending your time, energy, and focus on. Time, energy, and focus, they are very limited resources. Time, energy, and focus are limited resources. So if you invest them right, the ripple effect is much more higher than anything else. Yes, I know I said money, but if you invest your energy, focus, and time, the reward is greater than you can imagine. And then there is a principle of sowing and reaping. What you sow is what you reap. Emotional intelligence comes up in relationships. It comes up with relationship with yourself, relationship with others, and even relationship with God. So if you are not sowing right into that relationship, no matter the relationship, you know what you reap. So it is what you have sown, not necessarily where you have sown. It is what you have sown that you are going to reap. So if you have sown discord, disregard, disrespect, if you have sown envy, jealousy, fear, that's exactly what you're going to get back. But if you have sown love, some people may, quote and unquote, foolishly not reward you. That's why I said it's not where you sow you will reap. But if you have sown love, care, consistency, service in your life, you would definitely reap it. Not necessarily for who you have sown it to, but because it is you that did the sowing, you would definitely reap it. And then there is the principle of wisdom. Wisdom is when you apply something, get an understanding from it, and it works for you. Then you continuously use it. When you have wisdom and you don't apply it, it's a disservice to yourself and to your surrounding. Wisdom works in the marketplace, wisdom works in your community, wisdom works in your household, it works in your family, it works in your career. A person who knows a lot, but yet is not wise in their dealings with people, will ultimately be foolish. A person who knows a lot, who knows many people, who has been into spaces and rooms, but does not know how to steward the assets that they have, will make a mess of it. So, wisdom is crucial in our dealings with people. Wisdom is crucial in our dealings with ourselves. In stewarding your season, wisdom is important. And the last principle I'll talk about today is faith. I like to believe that faith is believing, but believing is seeing. Many times the world will say that seeing is believing, but no, I think it's the opposite. Believing is seeing because it's what you believe on the inside that you begin to visualize, and it's what you visualize and work with that you would manifest in your before. The things that we see physically in reality, they were first created somewhere. God first conceived the thought of humanity and the world before he created it. You and I first conceive certain things before we are able to create them. For all of the things that we see in science, in geography, everything that has been created now by man was first conceived in the heart of the man or the team that produced it before they produced it. So if you cannot believe something in your heart, then the possibility of it coming to reality is very minimal. So think about the principles of compounding effect, sowing and reaping, wisdom and faith as you go on in your relationship with God, yourself, and others. Because it is what you know that you can then apply. And I pray that as you are listening, you will hear what is needed for your life per season. Next slide, please. So these scenarios, please, I would appreciate if you can speak. Oh my, I haven't been looking at chat, but if you can speak on. Engineer Susie, good to have you. If you can speak, do speak. Yes, see, I was right that the Excel sound was a guy. If you can speak, do speak. Looking at these scenarios, right? Please let me know which of these scenarios have you ever found yourself in and how did you deal with it? Short responses, please. So conflict with a client or with a colleague, what did you do? Overstimulation from external factors. So for me, when I'm tired, there is a lot of sounds. I need like extra extra management for myself to be able to cope. So that's all those blurring of horns after the day's job, or you're trying to get back home from work, or after a long day or a long trip. Oh my! Like I need like extra muscle for me to contend with that. Disagreements with your family or your partner. How do you deal with that? Dealing with superiors and mentors. Sometimes like it's not like a full blown fight, but how do you deal with disagreements or contentions when you're dealing with your family members or your superiors, or when a client is just being overbearing or unbearable? How do you deal with those? Well, not so many, so I'm happy to hear your comments and reflections. I'm also happy to drag you.
Okay. Well, for me, when I mostly have disagreements with my family. I don't really have it with my colleagues or clients. But with my family, I tend to just shut down and keep quiet because anything I say always escalates it and somehow it becomes my fault.
Okay.
So instead of acting, I just keep quiet and I walk away.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Anybody willing to to share? Should I start calling names?
Good evening, ma.
Thank you. Good evening.
Well done, ma. So the disagreement with family or partners, that one, to me, I think is inevitable. So, uh, we are dealing with it by the group.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Is there anybody else that's willing to go forth?
Hello. Good evening,
Hello.
everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, so disagreement with hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Like everyone has said, disagreement with family members is something that is inevitable. However, I think to an extent, I've been able to come to a place where I can talk about it, not brooding about it. Instead of holding it in the heart and keeping quiet, it's keeping quiet gets me moody and I can become cranky as a result of that. So, but recently I think I'm outgrowing um, that level of reaction to a place where I can speak to the situation almost immediately. Then with colleagues, so recently I met a new set of people that I'm working with, and um, they have helped me sort of at some point it was looking like, oh, these people are too outspoken, these people they get to react to almost everything. But like I was telling myself yesterday, I think this situation is for me to learn from them on how to manage conflict with colleagues and client. think with client, I've been able to do well so far because it's more or less like you want to get something from a client and you are like want to dance to their tune. But with colleagues, at times you just want to keep to yourself, maybe until you need their help. But also, in recent times, I've been able to learn from these my new colleagues, and um, I believe I'm improving as the day goes by. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, okay, I think I will allow the next person to speak before or should I go on?
Yeah, you can go on. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Ubi Levinus Kenneth. I think Sefe knows me because we have met once. Um, I'm working in in an international organization here in Cotonou, and at the same time I'm a pastor, pastoring a church, of which I am under a ministry that I'm not the founder. So, in terms of dealing with superior and mentors, yes, sometimes we disagree in some points. Um, and what I usually do is that I sometimes keep quiet when, most especially whenever I receive some corrections, and then maybe I'm not allowed to say my opinion. So sometimes I just go back, think about it, and then maybe somehow, somewhere, my superior, my mentor is somehow correct. And then whenever I go back to think about it, I think sometimes I come up with some elements that at least give me another somehow a window in order to go forward. Yeah. So I think to me the way I handle it is simply go back, think about it, think about it, what that's in the point that we disagreed on, think about it, and then the following day, honor to who honor is due. I will simply go back and then have, maybe I'll just I just make a demand that I want to see you, boss. Then go back to his office, and then we sit down, talk quietly, and then maybe sometimes that is where I am allowed to voice out my opinion, and most of the times it's worked out for me. So that is it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
It's me. I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, I think from my own aspect, I've actually deal with almost every of these scenarios. It's just the overstimulation from external factor that I can't really say I've actually dealt with. So,
Okay.
for me, as much as I have noticed my triggers, I think I find it very difficult when I'm having issue with somebody not to like just keep it short without expressing, because I kind of find it very like somehow to me when something happened at that very moment and I cannot react or say how I feel. And sometimes I can say beyond what I'm supposed to say. So I am trying to like improve on finding a best way to deal with issue, because literally I find myself in a very, very chaotic environment and there is no how. Even if you want to hold your peace, people will just trigger you. They will just do something that will just make you just say, okay, oh, like I have to just react. So, which is why I actually joined the call this night.
I hope you can see my face.
Yeah. Yes.
I wanted her to see my face. Like I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because the scenario you just painted is the environment that many of us find ourselves in. And you said that you have found yourself in with the conflict with colleagues or clients, disagreements with family or partners, dealing with superiors, but not overstimulation from your external environment. But your very last sentence or statement points to the fact that even your environment is causing some level of chaos. And I also understand where you say that, there are some spaces that if you just keep quiet, you look like you're a Momo. You look like you are going to allow a lot of things slide, and then you think and feel that you have to respond. We'll get to that somewhere around the corner. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I like feedback is my love language. So thank you so much. I feel very happy that you guys have spoken this evening. It feels very good to know that I'm not talking to myself and that we are all on the same page. So what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion. That's what emotion is. Emotion is energy in motion. Just take that one first. Emotion is energy in motion. And then emotions arise as a result of your interpretation of events. This wheel is not created by me. It was created by somebody else. I'm not sure if you can see all the words in it. So Naomi will probably share the recalibrate your emotion so that everybody has that resource. So
Okay,
you get to see.
yes.
Yes, please. Thank you. So you will see all of the emotions, and you can see that they're in different colors, and they have like one major theme of emotion, and then that's emotion. For example, sad has many other extensions. So we'll share that with you so that you are able to learn and improve your vocabulary when it comes to your emotion. However, emotion is your interpretation to a scenario, to something that happened. So, for example, something very simple as having a picnic, right? You plan a picnic, you are there, the sun is shining, or the weather is just very chilled, and all of a sudden it begins to rain. If you have planned to take pictures, plan how you are going to sit and enjoy the mood, read or gist or play games with your friends, just having that rainfall is going to spoil your mood. True or false? And it's not because the rain itself is a bad thing. It is your interpretation of the rain. Like, why would the rain choose that very day or time to fall? Whereas that same rain is a blessing to somebody else who planted something in their farm. So your interpretation of a particular event is what triggers the way that you feel. Let me bring it home. So you are in a space and you maybe carry your bag a certain kind of way, or so you're in the office and you come with your lunch. You typically bring lunch every day. And then you open the cooler, the aroma spreads in the room, and then you are eating. And then somebody walks in and says, what's smelling? I beg you in the name of God, how would you feel? You see. But what if that the very spot that the person passed, the person maybe passed the toilet just before they got into the office? If you knew that, you will not be offended by that statement. But if you do not know that, you will be so offended because that person is indirectly saying that your food is smelly. That's like a very simple analogy. So emotion is the interpretation you give to an event. Many times, using the scenario that Ken shared, where your boss, for me, maybe line manager or senior colleagues are giving you like some query or submissions that they could have said in a better way, or you feel they could have said in a better way, or you think that they are not saying the accurate truth, you will feel slighted. But if you are able to sit down, like he said, and reflect on it, for me, I like to take the one that is my own. That's how I describe it. I take the one that I think they are trying to say, considering that I was maybe an opposition, right? I take the one they are trying to say and I discard the rest. That way I don't stay offended for a long time. Because if you keep taking all of the harsh words and the everything, you will marinate on it. I don't know how it is for men, but for women, we will think about it, and the more we think about it, the more we magnify that negative aspect. And whatever it is you focus on, it gives you like times 10 of the energy that it comes with. So if you are dwelling on negative energies, you would get, if you're dwelling on negative thoughts, you will get negative energies. But if you decide to say, okay, what's this person actually trying to say? You pick out what they are saying and leave the rest. Your interpretation will be different. So one thing I want you to take tonight is, what interpretation am I taking with this? Like every time somebody says something that slightly irritates you, offends you in a certain kind of way, makes you feel off, just ask yourself, what interpretation are you taking from it? And what does the person mean? And this leads me up to the fact that it is okay for you to ask. Pause and then ask. Because our assumptions leads us to go off. Like you just go, maybe somebody's just coming like this and the person says something, you just go this way because of the interpretation that you have given. So ask yourself, what am I taking from this thing that this person has said? If you pause and ask yourself, you will see that your reaction time, I think it's still yet, I mentioned how she reacts, right? You will see that you would have delayed reaction. And when you have delayed reaction, you would not say the things that you were not supposed to say. Because, sorry, I've been there before where I just wanted to say maybe a couple of sentences and then I went off, like off the track, somersaults. You know, when you go off the track and then the car is somersaulting and then fire starts catching. Yeah. Many of us do that, right? So ask yourself, what interpretation am I taking from this? And then that way your reaction will be delayed. Next slide, please. So many times we hear IQ, but this one now is EQ. Emotional quotient is the degree or extent to which you are able to control or regain control of your emotions after tension. Remember, I said there is positive and negative tension, right? So your ability to take control after triggers, triggering, traumas, trials, tribulations, whatever it is, your ability to take control or regain control of your emotions in that time is your emotional quotient. And they are in varying degrees. For some of us, if you just shout at us, if we open our mouth immediately shout at us, we'll start crying. So some of us will just keep quiet. For some of us, if you shout at us, we'll be looking at you, see us, we are palpitating already, our body is swelling with all of the anger, that we usually will not know how to respond to you. So your ability to control or regain control of your emotions after tension is your emotional quotient. And tension can be in varying forms. Today, I'm going to be focusing, next slide, please, talking about the different negative emotions, tensions that we feel. So there is disregard, and disregard is when you think that people think that you're not enough, or when people treat you in your own perception. Remember, all of this is from your perception. So disregard is when you think that you are not enough, when other people make you feel like they're not enough, or when people feel that they're not enough. So when somebody treats you with disregard, how do you respond? Like you are in a space or in a meeting. Oh my goodness. You are in a meeting and everybody's talking, and then you say something. And then when you finish talking, the person who speaks, first of all, doesn't allow you finish. And then secondly, does not even acknowledge that you just spoke and carries on. Like, how would you respond? And then there is discord. Discord is when there is a disagreement, outright disagreement. There is an argument, there is a quarrel, like everywhere is hot. How do you respond in that time? Or the matter of discouragement, when you think that you are not able to do something or you are not able to achieve something. Discouragement comes when you are planning something or we have agreed that we're going to do something and then suddenly our expectation is not being met because somebody absconded. It can be discouraging, right? So when you think that something cannot be achieved or when an individual thinks that something cannot be achieved, they are discouraged. Then disappointment. Expectations are not met. Because it's when you have expectations and they don't meet it, that's when you get disappointed. Disbelief is when you think that something is not possible. And that happens at different times. Remember, I talked about faith. At different times of our lives, our businesses, our careers, and even in relationships with people, there are different times that you will experience disbelief. And there are different times that people will disbelieve you. Like they look at you doing certain things and they're asking themselves, even asking you, like, what are you doing? Do you think that this thing you are doing is going to work? How do you deal with that kind of tension? And then there is the part of damage. Damage is when trust is broken. Damage is when I don't want to use the word trauma, but it's when something has happened so much that your mind and your heart is marked, that it feels like the recovery or reconciliation will be difficult.
Hello, can you hear me?
No.
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't hear Sefe anymore.
I think it's the network. Let's just give it a minute.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, thank you. Please, where did you stop? Or where did you stop hearing me?
Disbelief.
Oh my, okay. So I said after disbelief, there is damage. Disbelief is when people think that whatever it is you are doing, it's not possible. Mute your mic, please.
Please mute your mic.
Hello?
We can hear you. You can go on.
Okay, all right. So I said disbelief is when you do not think that what you're doing is possible and others do not think that what you are doing makes any sense or is possible. And damage is when trust is broken, when things have gone south such that you feel like recovery is almost impossible. That's damage. And so all of these scenarios are some examples of negative tensions that people can feel at different times of the day, at different times or seasons of their lives. And so the way that we respond to all of this is usually determined by what we have seen or what we have learned. But before we continue, I want to tell you a story. That's where I saw that the network was off. So I said that there's a story where there was a girl. I like to call the story that the title of the story, The Daughter, Her Dance, and Her Damage. So there was a girl who attended a banquet, and she was the stepdaughter of the king. And in the banquet, she comes, the king is very happy. He has a celebration. The whole kingdom is in attendance. And she comes and presents her gifts. And her gift to him is a beautiful dance. She is dancing so marvelously that the king is intrigued. And he loves her presentation so much that when she is done, he says, "My dear girl, what do you want me to reward you with? Even if it's half of the kingdom, I will give it to you. Just tell me what you want." Remember, everybody is there. And so the girl is thinking, what would I ask for? Then she runs to her mother and says, "Oh, hi, mama. Imagine the king is asking me, what do I want?" And then the mother tells her, "There's this nigger you wanted to kill. Ask for his head in a platter." And then the girl goes back and tells the king, "I want so and so person's head in a platter." The king has already made a declaration in front of his kingdom, his chiefs and everybody. He cannot take his word back. And this person whose head this girl has asked for, he's somebody that he admires and respects. Although, yes, he put the person in prison. He then eventually has to give the girl the head in the platter. Now, my question is, if it was you, what would you have done? As the king and as the girl, what would you have done? Think about that story. While we continue, the way we respond to situations and scenarios is usually as a function of what we have learned. It's usually a function of what was modeled to you, and it's usually a function of our ignorance. Many times when, in recent times, I like to use the scenarios of our children. When kids are crying and when they cry like this, that they can cry for 6 stretch minutes. I said 6 minutes. It feels like 6 hours sometimes. Like they cry and the sound of the cry is increasing in tempo, modulating like music. And the thing is just frustrating your heart out. Why is it that the response that we give many times, not all the time, because I know that there are some special breed, many times is to shout at the child or to beat the child? It is because that is what was modeled to us. It is because we do not know another way to respond. Why is it that when your colleagues offend you, you have the restraint to keep quiet, at least to an extent? But when it is somebody else, maybe your cousin, your brother, your spouse, as the person is just talking, you are able to come back with your words back to back. Why is it that if your boss was speaking to you in a certain kind of manner, you are able to restrain yourself? But if it was a friend who spoke to you in that same manner, for whatever reason, you would respond to them like you cannot wait for tomorrow to come? It is because of what we have learned. It is because of what has been modeled before us, what you have seen other people do, what was taught to you when you were growing up, what you saw other people do and get away with, or a function of something that you know nothing about. And so if somebody as a client speaks to you in a certain kind of way, and maybe you just look at the person and the person is not up to you, or the person cannot even give you the kind of money that you're looking for, you may be tempted to respond to the person in a manner that it is unethical of you. But because you feel like the person cannot do anything, you just, please, just go, don't talk to me like that, blah, 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 you will respond. because of the things that we have seen, because of the things that we have learned. So if you feel disregarded, if you feel disappointed, what do? Remember I said that emotion is energy in motion. Remember I say how you respond is a function of what you know, what you have learned, what has been modeled before you, or your ignorance. What you like, if you don't know something, if you are feeling a certain kind of way and to you it is stress, right? You would react without even knowing that maybe it's because you have not slept well for the past 4 days, or maybe it's because your mind is anxious or worrying about something that you're about to do in the next 1 week, or a target that, a deadline that you have before you. That's what's stressing you out in this week. You would react to every person and everything in a negative manner without consciously being aware that it is the thing that you are thinking about in front. It is, that deadline. I'm supposed to make that presentation on Tuesday. And because it's a big presentation, the chairman is going to be there, your top clients are going to be there, and then you're anxious about it. So instead of you sitting with it, like, okay, I'm anxious about this thing. What's making me anxious about it? What front have I covered? What have I not covered? Your body is just pumping. And somebody just mistakenly step like this, you will just give it to the person. And that person just hits you. You're just like, what? When you blind, you just keep saying different things. And you can be like that for days without realizing that you are being anxious for something that's about to happen, or you are worried about the things that are happening in your personal life that you cannot bring to work. Things are happening at home. You cannot talk to your colleagues about them. So when you come, like they say, leave your home at home. But we are human beings. So some part of home will now seep into work, and you will just be like this, like matches. It has gone off. It has gone off. If you are unable to sit back with yourself, you will not realize that you are going off like that. And so if things happen, when things are triggering you, when situations are looking like they're out of control, it's either you take charge, and taking charge is when you are working to find solution. So I've talked about awareness, your ability to be aware that something is making me behave in a certain kind of way. Something like I feel irritated. I've been feeling irritated easily for the past 4 days. And I'm like, why? This isn't like me. I'm like, is it the webinar? No, it's not the webinar. Is it work? No, I've done this report. I've asked this question. I didn't get a feedback. I've sent this out. Okay, no, so it's not it. So what is it? And then I realized that I haven't slept well. I'm giving you my real life example. I haven't slept well since Saturday. So if I have not slept well, when I say I've not slept well, like I went to, maybe I go to bed like 12, by 2 o'clock I'm awake, by 4 o'clock I'm awake, I'm like, okay, if this has happened consistently for the past 2 or 3 days, then it means that my sleep is what's causing me to be like. So before I go off on the wrong person, or even if it's the right person, it's time for me to go to bed on time. You see, and that happened. So yesterday, sorry, my on time is not some people's on time. I went to bed by 10 p.m. That's my on time. So we should learn to take charge. Now, what many of us do, myself included, is we take off. And taking off is like you just become defensive. Somebody mentioned earlier that she just shuts down. And many of us are like that. So we either just blow off, like Suliat said, or we just shut down and numb ourselves like nothing is happening. You just blank out. Because you don't come and use me to play. You just zoom out like when they finish talking. So it's either we blow off or we become very defensive. No, that's not what I said. That's not what you said. That's how we said it. That's not how we said it. Or you just zoom off like when they are done talking. They will keep quiet. That's what teenagers do to a lot of us. Or we throw tantrums like kids do, where you just go talking and talking and talking and talking. Like you go off from the matter. The one that happened today, you talk about it. The one that happened last week, you will now talk about it. The ones that happened 2 months ago, like just one slight thing, you will bring everything up. It's not because of what just happened. Truthfully, if you sit down and think about it, it's not usually because of that thing that happened at that very moment. It is a plectoral. So you have been piling it and piling it up, that you then now escalate in a matter that is very unrelated. And even in that matter that you have escalated on, it is not because of that thing that happened. Please tell me if I'm right or wrong. Like the one that you blow off on, the one that makes you to now start talking and saying all the things that you do not want to say, is it usually because of that thing that happened now? Or it's the way you have interpreted all the things that you are talking about? The way we interpret things is how we react to things. So please let me know. So please let me know if there's anything that you have learned tonight. I said we're going to leave here at 9:30. So I'll be out of your way very soon. So please let me know if there is anything that has resonated with you, if there is anything that has hit you in a different way, if there is any part that sounds like you. And I will end with one question. I have other slides, but I would rather keep them till tomorrow. So I will end with a question or two questions. I don't like too much talk all the time. I react. Sorry. I react based. Very true. Very, very true. In our minds, we don't want to talk too much. Whereas you are keeping it. And then another one happened, you now keep it on top of that one. Like crochet sheets. For those people that do crochet, or like blankets, or like they say, they keep it on that, they sweep it under the rug. If you have a rug in your house, go and raise it up. You see how much sand that is there. Despite you're sweeping the house every day. So when the thing just happens, you just sweep it under the rug. If another thing happens, you just sweep it under the rug. Many times, that small thing that happened that makes you explode or go off, it's not usually the issue. It is the thing that you have refused to talk about. I think it was Sharon that mentioned earlier that she has learned to face certain things as they happen rather than keeping it, because it makes her feel, yes, you feel like you're hot. You feel like you're bottling up a lot. You'll not be swelling. Yeah. So please let me know. Okay. And that's going to be my question. That was actually one of my questions. Now, which of these tensions have you felt today or this week? And what did you do about it? Okay, thank you, Kenneth. And yes, emotion is energy, emotion, and it is our interpretation. Like if you can learn, I pride myself in saying that I do not quarrel with people a lot. It's not because they don't irritate me. It's not because they've never offended me, right? But the interpretations that I give to the things, except my husband, right? I'm still working on that, my husband base. But the interpretations that I give to certain things usually doesn't, eh, somehow it's just sieve, you know how you sieve things, that some of the things just go through the holes, yeah. And so what you now take on with you doesn't now have as much weight as the very first time you heard that thing. And it has to do with hearing and hearing and hearing again. And then you keep sieving it until some little bit just stays. Because if everything stays, you will be very offended. So please let me know what has resonated with you. Let me know which of the tensions that you have felt today or that you have felt this week. And let me know if you have any question. I don't want to take much of our time. It's already 9:33. So if you do have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to respond to them. The remaining part we can deal with tomorrow. And that has to do with how we respond, how we deal with our feelings. Okay. Sorry, so based on my interpretation of stuff, so how I see here, and also what I do not know. Okay. This question is why the question on why I restrain myself from responding to my boss, but yeah. One of the ways I now talk to my kids, and they don't know that I'm talking to myself, is that I say that why is it that we we can beat or shout at the people that we think we are bigger than or older than, but the ones that are older than us, we cannot do anything about it. So how do we then? Why is it that we are bullies to the ones that we are bigger than or older than, and yet to the ones that are older than us, we now have some restraint? Disregard. Just move away actually, not address it in particular. Yeah. If you look at recalibrate, it talks about you being able to identify, which is why I said she should share it, because you see many of the emotions. And when I started studying this maybe 3, 4 years ago, I saw that there were many words to describe our feelings that we were never taught. When we're learning words, we learn many useful and useless things, but the ones that has to do with our emotions, because every person, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you deal with emotions. As soon as till you go to bed, you are dealing with emotions. But our vocabulary for the words of how we feel is very limited. So you are saying things that you don't mean, or that you don't know the meaning, and you don't have the words to really explain how you feel. So I particularly like that. There are many words there. And then there is the fact that you should identify. So be aware that you're feeling like this, acknowledge you are feeling like that, accept it. Many times we like to say, no, I'm not feeling sad. No, I'm not feeling depressed. No, I'm not. Nobody wants you to feel depressed. Just accept it first. And then now find ways to deal with it. So that's what recalibrate your emotions is about. How can I manage? Yeah, so you have to find ways to address it. Sometimes you can deal with the person, you can have conversations with the person. Sometimes it's about you having conversations with yourself and finding ways to let go of that issue. How can I manage conflict with my husband regarding disregard? He acts sometimes as if I'm not existing, and that always leads to silence. Okay. For somebody to treat you with disregard, it means that there is a pattern. I like to. I don't assume. I mean, I don't know the context of everything, so I don't know what has happened over the past few months or years, right? But for somebody to begin to treat you with a level of disregard, case in point, there's usually see finish in marriage, right? It takes grace and wisdom for see finish not to happen. But if this is not a matter of see finish, it's a matter of disregard as part what I have defined for you this evening, then you need to trace back the pattern of your own behavior. Leave him first. In control, part of the things I will talk about in how you manage yourself or your emotion is pay attention to what you can control. What you cannot control, leave it first. Okay? So in looking at yourself, the context of your marriage, the context of that relationship, pay attention to the patterns of your own behavior in times past. Trace it back up to the point of when you were dating before you got married. And begin to pinpoint the things that you may have done that will bring disregard. I know we don't want to hear it, but take your emotions out of it. Like, look at this matter. If you were somebody else and your spouse is that person's spouse, look at yourself and trace the pattern of what have you been doing to encourage that behavior. Some of us are bullies, so, right? But leave that part out of whether he's a bully or not a bully, whether he's condescending or not. Ask yourself, like, what behavior have you exhibited for somebody who once loved you or loves you to now treat you in this kind of manner? I am a chat away. If you are on the WhatsApp group, I am a chat away. But I would say that check the way you have been behaving. When we show up unsure of ourselves, we give ourselves the opportunity or the chance to be disregarded. The life that we live is not a fair one. You have to contend for what you want. You have to contend for what you want to have. Somebody once told me that, no, I don't want to be in that relationship because there is a certain way I want to be loved. And so if he cannot love me the way I want to be loved, then I'm not going to be in that relationship. To be sincere, I didn't understand what she was saying. But I realized over time that if you put yourself in a certain way, if you treat yourself in a certain way, the rest of us, that is how we will perceive you and that's how we will treat you. That is why I said, first off, start with how have you been behaving? What patterns have you displayed such that the only way for somebody who sees you on a regular to deal with you is to deal with you with disregard. And then sometimes it is just to ask. And you don't ask like, women were guilty of this. You say, you always do this. No, don't ask like that. You be like, I feel like you do this, do this, do this. Sometimes I'm not sure that your intention is to disregard me, but I'd like to understand. Sister, this thing I'm saying, it looks like English, but if you can calm down and ask it in the right place and at the right time, you will get some answers to some of your issues. I get so triggered anytime I feel disrespected. Now I know, but okay, sometimes it's not about you. Your becoming, your growth is not really about you, because some people will vest you, some people will match lines, some people would, do some very annoying things. But if they are sent to you, so I'm talking about people ahead now, if they are sent to you to steward this season, so if you are supposed to be learning something from them, or if even if it's a boss or a mentor or something, you are supposed to learn something from that person, but the person is not a kind person, you have to find a way to walk around that unkindness and learn it. Discernment is part of emotional intelligence. See, now I'm jumping the things I'm supposed to be saying or not saying. That's why I like questions, right? So being triggered, you have to ask yourself, how am I feeling now? What is triggering me? Is it the person's behavior? Is it the person's attitude? Or is it me that is feeling disregarded, feeling disrespected? And if I feel disrespected, why am I disrespected? I was in a situation 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. And we were a group of people going to meet somebody. And because I have seen the person in some spaces before, I had a feeling like her behavior may make these people I was with feel off or disrespected. So I just told them, there are certain people that when you meet them, their behavior is not usually what you are used to. Don't take that behavior of theirs personal. It's just how they are. If you see them that's how they are, you won't feel any negative way about the person. And then we met the person, everything went well. Truly, there was some, attitudes and stuff. And then afterwards, one person said, "Oh, thank you that you actually mentioned it before, because I would have taken it the wrong way." And if you can only just observe people's patterns, that's how the person is. That's how the person behaves in this place, in this way. You will not be offended by many things that people do, because sometimes it's really not about you. Yes, sometimes it is. They're trying to be disrespectful and all that. But if you look at it, if you can just flip it to know that it's not me, this person has bad behavior, or this person has bad attitude or something, you will then realize that you will not be as offended as you typically would be. Sowing and reaping, not where you sow. Very true, not where you sow that you will reap. Now, how can you manage your emotions not to be negatively affected by the ingrate response that you receive from people you do? Pastor, we need to have pastors meeting because this happens. This happens in ministry a lot. I see it. It happens in ministry a lot. It also happens when you're doing social impact and building a social enterprise where you do things and people think you're trying to cut. Damira, it happens. It looks as if you are trying to cajole people into their destiny, or you're trying to cajole them into doing the things that will be of benefit to their lives and their destiny. Yet they just can't even put a sense of value to it. That I would say, first thing first is encourage yourself. Know that what you are doing is for your own good and for their own good. For your own good, in the sense that you are becoming a better, is because you are becoming a better person, a better leader. And remember, I said the principle of sowing. I like that you can put them together. What you sow is what you will reap, not where you sow. So if you are sowing love, care, kindness, consistency, concern, right, you are definitely going to reap it. And do you know that there are some people who will never talk, like my community? Some people who will never talk, they will never say anything, but they are just watching. And those people who watch without saying anything, many times are the one who will speak for you in other places. But you see those people who are ingrates, as you have put them, they truly will not understand the value that you are giving to them now until it's too late. And many times it's too late when you have left them. Sometimes when I say you have left them, it's not that you just abandoned them. It's that maybe the season of your life changed. The season of their own life changed. So maybe they moved on, they relocated, you relocated, you got another job. If it's a colleague, you were transferred to another place. I mean, life happens, right? It's years later, they then realize that which you were doing previously was for their own good. And it happens to all of us here. When we were growing up, there were certain things that elders were telling us, and we're just like, please, 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 I beg, I beg. But now, you now realize that, oh my God, that person was so really right. It's the same thing with these people. Guard your heart by first encouraging yourself. And second, just like I said, interpretation. Just tell yourself that this person really does not understand what they are doing. Because if they do, they will not be acting like that. If you take it that they don't understand, you just know that they don't have the level of wisdom that is required for them to steward that which you are giving them. You won't be so upset. And then lastly, sometimes you have to call people's normalized nonsense out. You have to let them know that they are being ungrateful. You have to make them realize that what they are doing is utter foolishness. Yes. So that you will not think, because Dabira now will come for me, so that you will not think I'm always sugarcoating. First of all, encourage yourself. Secondly, realize that their level of wisdom has not gotten there. But sometimes you just let them know that this behavior of yours is not a good one. Many times people don't know, especially if we have grown up in places where gratitude was not a part of life. All right. I think I've answered all the questions that I see. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do invite your friends, your frenemies, and your loved ones to come join us tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow at 8:30 West African time or 7:30 GMT. Have a wonderful night rest.